Today we are going to be painting trees. Trees are a really important thing to know how to watercolor. Think that you're going to be doing any landscapes, you really need to know how to do these trees. And if you are going to do house portraits, anything of that nature, trees are going to be a part of what you're doing. And they can stymie a lot of folks until you figure out exactly what it is that you want to do and how you want to get the hang of it. So I'm going to do a number of different kinds of trees today. There's no reference photo. I am going to be showing you just a couple examples so you have an idea of what we're doing and where we're going, but you don't really need to sketch anything out right now. We're going to do just pretty loose sketches and drawings and be getting water and pigment on paper. I think one of the easiest trees to start with is a conifer tree. And these really, there's lots of different ways that you can do them. I've got a mixing tray for us here in case we need some more space. I am using Arches watercolor paper and the Winsor & Newton professional pan of watercolor paints. But honestly, the only thing that I think really matters if you are just starting out is the paper. It's nice to have some decent brushes, but what really matters is the paper. You can start with cheap paints, that's great. I painted a really long time with cheap paints, and that's fine. It is the artist that makes the painting, not the paints that make the art. I mean, they help make the art, but really, just don't get too wrapped up in, oh my God, I don't have that professional grade paint. It's okay. Yes, it's fun and the colors are vibrant and beautiful and great, but you can get vibrant, fun, beautiful, great paintings out of a cheaper set. So don't be afraid to use a less expensive set. So let's start with this conifer. I'm gonna grab my round 6, I think, to start. And I want to paint just a tiny little trunk down here. So I'm gonna think about this burnt umber color, and I've already got a little blue Payne's gray on mine. So I'm gonna just kind of bring this trunk down here. See, just 2 little lines. I want to darken it up on the right side, like that. I'm rinse off my brush, and I'm going to bring just some water in. I'm just imagining that there's a shadow on this right side, going like that. And now let's think about what color. I'm going to use my bigger brush, my round 16, for the rest of this. And I want to think about, I'm going to start with this. It's Hooker's Green in the Winsor & Newton series. And I am going to really get a good amount of this down. It's really fun to mix these colors up. I want a good amount of pigment, not as much water. And just start, you can start, it depends on how big do you want your tree. I want to kind of start up here with this scraggly little twig. And I'm just making these long lines with the fine tip of the brush. And we've got all sorts of little lines here. And, I'm not working on or trying to get all of the fine little lines, but I am just starting by laying down a good amount and just thinking about the shape that I want this tree to be. And I really want it to get bigger as we go down. So I'm just starting with these lines, and I'm really using the tip of my round 16, and thinking about how big do I want this down here. So I'm kind of mapping that out for myself and not being afraid to kind of bring these in here. So I've got the shape of this conifer pretty much the way I want it. And I've just taken, you can see these little lines kind of back and forth, tiny little lines like that, like so, right? Okay. Now, this is the start. I mean, I could leave it like that. I do need to bring in this line that I've got going on and bring it up into my tree a little bit more, right? So that's a pretty big trunk, and I can bring it down even a little bit more if I wanted to. And I'm just kind of bringing some of this brown up in here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pull in a little Payne's Gray. I wanna darken this up in certain spots. So I'm bringing some Payne's Gray to darken up my green. And I'm just gonna drop color around in here. Again, I'm making it darker, leaving some white spots. And I want to just have some spots that are really dark. Just dropping that in. And voila, we have this nice conifer. Let's see. And I'm going to grab my round 6 again and just kind of put a little bit of just a little bit more detail in there. So that's one way to do a conifer. Now that we've done the conifer, the next tree that I would like to do is, let's do this lovely birch tree. So, you know, we can have our birch shaped like that. Not all birch trees are shaped like that. I might want some patches. Might want to take some branches around. So a birch tree is really like gray, and I have Payne's Gray. I'm going to add a little bit of black, maybe a lot of black. And now I'm going to get a good amount of water, and I'm going to think about, let's see here. I want this to be a little bit of a longer. And we're taking, birch trees have those real distinct lines. Just bringing that in. And I'm gonna take a branch out here and a branch out here and maybe something up here. And we'll just pretend that this is fall, and I want to get some yellow. I really like I'm going to do the Candom-free yellow, I think, kind of get a good amount of that on my palette. I'm going to add some water here. I really should go get some clear water because this has a little bit of green already in it, but I'm going to just kind of really make some spots here. So I'm just gonna pretend that it's down here and here. Really just kind of getting quite a bit of water on my brush, and just I'm going to take it all the way up to the top, really bringing in some more. I'm leaving spots. I'm dropping in yellow to these spots here, dropping in a good amount of yellow. And it's okay, you know, it doesn't have to be symmetrical. Trees aren't, nature's not symmetrical. And now I'm going to just make this gray line a little bit stronger in some of these areas, bringing it in a little bit more. Okay, so that looks like that, and I do want to add a little bit of orange now to some spots. Give this tree a little bit of depth. So I'm going to take my Windsor orange and so some of these spots we'll just drop it in. Dropping it into some of these places here. And we've really got a fun little tree emerging, right? You can see how that just really begins to come alive. I love what I'm seeing. This is a really cool tree that is happening. And just don't be afraid to add some color, strong wet on wet technique. Okay, we're getting some good depth and some lovely pieces here. Now, while it's still wet, I'm going to come in with my Payne's Gray and my black on a little bit of a stronger line and just kind of adding some and it is spreading. That's okay. It's just adding some lines in. Branches. And just give it a little bit down here. There we go. All right, so that is another tree. Not exactly the same, but it's in there. And I don't love the way I let some of this kind of go in. So I'm gonna pick up some of that pigment with my, this is just a paper towel, and I'm just picking up some of that pigment so it doesn't look so spider branchy. There we go. I might even come in with a little bit more orange in some places, just a more distinct bit of orange, while it is a little bit more dry in some of these places, and just kind of letting it play, letting the magic do its thing. And there we go. We're getting close. I think that's probably about done with that birch tree. So that's another way that we could do birch. Then I thought we would do, I think this is like an elm, I believe is what I'm looking at here. So we'll just do this little elm tree. And the way that we're going to do this guy is we'll make him a little bit smaller. I made that birch take up a lot of the paper. But I'm gonna come back in with my brown. And I'm gonna just making the lines of the trunk here. And I'll kind of fill this guy in a little bit more. Kind of want to fill that up. Yeah, okay. So now what I want to do is pull in some more green, and I'm going to want different colors of green for this. So we're going to take that green out here and I'm using my round 16 here, and it would kind of come in here like this, and just moving it all around, letting it move here. We'll set it kind of intertwined, mixing in a little bit with this other one. And what you can see, I'm just kind of using the side of my brush. Now, I want to come in here and draw some more branches. So I'm picking up more of my burnt umber, mixing it a little bit in with this Payne's Gray, not being afraid to just kind of move these branches around. I think we'd have some branches in here and like this. And this guy might even come up like this a little bit. Trees are funny, and they move in all sorts of different ways. You want to kind of think about where the branches might be coming from, and I just want that illusion to be there as I bring in some more color. So I'm now just coming in with more, moving it around here kind of all over. Now, I don't want you to be afraid to add more color. So let's go a little darker now. So let's pick up some of that Hooker's green, and I'm gonna bring in a darkening it up with Payne's Gray. Ooh, I got too much there, whoops. And so you can see I've mixed this really dark green over here, and I don't want to be afraid to put that in certain spots. And I'm going a little bit in a haphazard way, sort of. Just thinking about where might these colors be. and letting it move around. And I might even drop a touch of yellow into some spots. And let me show you how I'm gonna do that. Just have the feeling I might need to. I'm picking up a little bit of yellow, just lightening it up in some spots. So I'm letting it mix with the green in some areas, and it's adding a depth to what I've got going on. You can see how that is lightening things up a little bit. I don't want to get rid of all of my white spots. But there we go. So that's another way to do a tree. I am going to grab some of this brown. I want to darken up the edges here. Trying to give this a little bit of texture almost. I know these cracks would be gosh, what would they be? There would be texture in the cracks. I'm just bringing depth with these darker branches, darkening it up a bit. Because there would be parts that you can kind of see well and parts that you can't, that are kind of covered up and hidden. And I think it's important to kind of just have the branches going in a lot of different directions, because they would be in the tree. And you know, if you look up at a tree, there's so many different branches that are happening up there, going in a lot of different directions. So you can see that happening on this tree. And then let's see, we'll give it some grass down here at the bottom. And voila. Okay, so there you go. We have 3 different trees that we did, and they all have a distinctly different feel to them. I do want to, oh, whoops. I'm seeing over here, I can come in and add some more detail right on this trunk. Do you see it? Would you put that in? And could even darken it up if I wanted to down here. So you can come back after it dries and see, does anything need a little bit more detail? But this is just a start. This is a great beginner's loot, and this is kind of loose. I didn't get real particular or really tight with any of these trees, you know, not trying to be super precise and trying to give you a big overview of what it looks like to do some trees. So this is a study in a few different types of trees. If you enjoyed this, please hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more.